Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Give my regards to Broadway, remember me to Herald Square. New York, New York, the city that never sleeps. I'm not from there. Chicago, Chicago, that windy town. Chicago, Chicago, I'll show you around. It's a city where you'll have the time of your life, but I don't hail from there either. Nor do I come from the city by the bay, where little cable cars reach halfway to the stars, and where I left my heart, San Francisco. Now, I love all these three cities, but my hometown is Baltimore, or as the natives call it, Balmer. B-A-W-L-M-E-R. Baltimore. Now, Balmer, and I'm going to use that because although I've been away from there for 18 months to 2 years, I fall back very easily. Balmer is about 460 to 500 road miles from Charlotte, depending upon where you live. It's accessible by either airplane, car, or train, Amtrak. 8 hours by car and train, a little over an hour airtime by AirTran or United Airlines. Now, let's assume, regardless of how we get to Balmer, we're going to spend a day on a walking tour of Baltimore, and we're going to condense it to 3 specific areas. It's a beautiful city. It's on the Chesapeake Bay and the downtown area called the Inner Harbor that was designed by the Rouse Company is something really to see. But in addition to that, there is the Lexington Market, there is Fort McHenry, and there is the Johns Hopkins Hospital facility. Now, you either need to have a camera when you come to Baltimore, or you need to buy one. But if you do buy a camera, please, please don't call it a camera. They call it a camera. So when you go into a camera store, you ask for, camera. You want film for the camera. Okay. Now, one of the first things you should do is visit the Lexington Market. It's a huge market where vendors from all over the area sell their goods and wares, from chocolate to cookies to meats and produce. And you ought to stop around lunchtime at the oyster bar and get yourself not an oyster, but an oyster. So you want an oyster and a beer. Because if you ask for an oyster in Baltimore, they won't know what you're talking about. You want an oyster. Now, the next thing you want to do is probably walk around, and Fort McHenry is a good distance from the Inner Harbor, but it's doable, and on a pretty day, it's just a magnificent view. But the oyster that you got may not be enough, so you want to stop at one of the neighborhood restaurants where they will, where you might want to eat. So, when you walk in, you'll probably be asked, would you like a seat or a table by the window? Because if you say the window, they won't know what you're saying. So if you hear them say, would you like a seat by the window, then you'll know that you can have a seat close to the window and see the harbor. Now, I guess you would say the waitress will come up to you and offer you, she'll say, "Can I help you, hon?" Now, I know a lot of people that get very, very upset when somebody calls them hon. But that's an endearing salutation for Baltimore waitresses. So she will say, "Will you have, what can I get for you, hon?" And you may say, "I would like a bologna sandwich." And she won't understand what you're saying because it's a sandwich. It's a sandwich, not a sandwich. So you've got to use the term sandwich. And that's how Baltimoreans call a sandwich. And you want it on bread? Of course. What kind of bread? Well, no, it's bread. Bread. No bread. You want bread. And then, when you walk out, somebody will say to you, even though you walk a couple blocks, they'll say, "Did you eat?" They won't say that. They'll say, "G?" G? And you'll say, "Yeah." I just ate. Okay. Now, also, while you're there, you may want to do some antique shopping. And one of the things, of course, Baltimore is an old town, and you may want to look for a bureau. But you don't want to use the word bureau because they won't understand what you're saying. It's a bureau. Bureau. B-E-E-R-O. Bureau. And then you might want to give the guide, who's a female, some flowers, but it's floral. And you may hear as you're going through the police, the ambulance, and the fire. So if you hear that, remember that they're getting some water to wash. Who's that?